What's going on, everybody? I literally came on here because something happened that makes me very angry, and I'm trying to take my mind off it. It's not something I'm going to discuss, but something in my personal life, and I'm literally coming on here so I don't fucking... So I don't call someone and tell them off, basically. So what's going on, everybody? Cookies and cream cocktail. What's that? Oh, that's good, big chillin'. You could probably hear it in my breathing. I'm not happy, so. But I'm learning to not flip the fuck out. This person would deserve it. Not gonna flip the fuck out. I'm gonna just work, and that's it. So, Mama Moon, thank you for being a tadpole. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I hear you, Ribbons. I hear Ribbons. I have a sandwich coming because I was distracted for a little bit, so I didn't get a chance to eat. It's going okay. I uploaded this video on YouTube that basically wouldn't go on TikTok. Like, they wouldn't put it on TikTok for some reason. Because TikTok suppresses anything to do with Israel. So if you haven't checked my YouTube shorts, there's a video there in my YouTube shorts. I'm going to play it right now. This guy just commented, "I didn't catch the lie. What's the lie?" Because they're so dense. He's saying, you can't see what the lie is. The lie is that Trump is saying that it was his decision based off the negotiations. And Marco Rubio said it was because Israel was planning an attack and they knew there'd be retaliatory attacks. And so therefore they were attacking before they were preemptively striking because they knew they were going to hit them with missiles. Watch.
Israel forced your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did Netanyahu pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack if we didn't do it. So, if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action.
I predict there's going to be some arguing later between these two because Marco just blew that narrative right out of the water. Israel. Caught him. Big chillin'. Thank you for being a member for 12 months. Appreciate you, bro. 210 Rain Christopher. Thank you for the $50 super chat, bro. I really appreciate that, bro. Seriously, thank you so much. I would appreciate supporting the live, guys. I really would. Thank you so much. If this guy comes to my door to drop this sandwich off, I just have to step up for a second to get it so he doesn't drop it off on the wrong doorstep. So you guys see me get up really quick. But what did you think about that clip? He literally says in the clip right there, the truth. Right? That Israel was planning a strike. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, folks. So today we had a lot happen, right? So let's get into it. So today Donald Trump met with the Chancellor of Germany. They sat in the Oval Office, exchanged pleasantries, had a little tea, things like that. And then Donald Trump answered questions about Israel, which is where about Iran, which is where this question was asked. Did Israel, is Israel kind of forcing you into military action here? It was the day before that Marco Rubio said, we knew Israel was going to attack, and therefore we knew Iran was going to respond. And if we didn't do something about it, we would have been called in to testify for not acting preemptively. Cynthia, thank you for becoming a tadpole, Cynthia. Appreciate you. Case in point, thank you for the $19.99 super chat. Appreciate you, case in point. So this is where we are, right? We're still in the midst of this war. Not much has changed, although we've seen some pretty significant missiles fired at military bases and at Israel and all over the Middle East. An Iranian missile actually hit the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East, Qatar said. So that's pretty much the latest from there. Right now, currently, actively, there are emergency sirens sounding in Tel Aviv. And yeah, I kind of talked about this from the beginning. There was no plan. There was no plan. There was no goals. There was no anything. And I said this because it didn't make sense from the beginning, because in order to accomplish anything, you would have to dismantle the entire military. We're not talking the entire government. We're not talking about the Taliban. This is a structured government with a constitution. Article 111. Their constitution specifically sets up a 3-man council in the case of assassination. Right? They had a government set up in 3 hours. 3 hours. And our government doesn't seem to understand and never understood the ideological commitment that the military and the people in the government have to the government, to the regime. What's your first name?
Mike.
Okay, Mike, what's your take?
My take is that I believe that Trump and Bibi Netanyahu are today's Roosevelt and Churchill, because they're putting peace in the Middle East is what's happening. We're trying to take out Iran.
The fuck did you just say? I'm gonna hold on. Maybe I gotta clean my. Hold on. There's something wrong with my headphones. I thought you said. I thought you used Churchill. Right, hold on. Let me fix my headphones. All right. Never mind. Go ahead.
I did.
Say it again. Say that sentence again.
I believe that Trump and Bibi Netanyahu are today's version of Roosevelt and Churchill.
Explain.
Because they're installing peace in the Middle East.
He's not installing peace. Where'd you get that from?
That's exactly what's happening in the Middle East.
Guy, are you
what?
Comparing Trump to FDR has got to be one of the dumbest things anyone has ever said to me. Do you know anything about FDR?
Of course I do.
Okay, so you're saying they're the same type of president?
When it comes to war, yeah, I believe so.
No, they're not.
When it comes to this war, yes.
No, they're not. Explain. And he hangs up. What the fuck? That guy's on. What the fuck was that? What the absolute fucking ass backwards shit was that? That guy just compared Trump to fucking FDR. Man, I'm going to assume that you don't know who FDR is and you're just choosing someone because I don't even know. I actually felt a little sick when you said that. Jesus. Holy shit. Honestly, that's just the most fucked up thing anyone's ever said. If you are a logical Trump supporter and you support the war in Iran, call in 908-652-3703. If you're a delusional little chud who thinks that FDR and Trump are similar, don't just not call me. Lose my number. Laura Shock, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. What do they have it at 6? And let's discuss this really quick. So there's something to recognize here. Laura Shock, thank you for the $5 super chat. And Summer Shade, thank you for the $5 super chat. Let's talk about something here. So I don't want to say a rumor, but a narrative that's being spread right now is that some of these other news stations in Europe, around the globe, are reporting that we've lost more military service members than the administration is letting on. I don't buy that. I know that's something people are saying. I do not buy that. I think it's actually somewhat of a stupid take. It would be very, very difficult to do that. These people have families, like, without somebody talking and saying, hey, my husband never came home. Now, if there was a ridiculous spike in the number of people who died at some point in the war, I guess you could say, hey, well, that's where they're going to say they died instead of saying that they were just getting their ass kicked the whole time. Please stop saying that. It's absolutely surface level as fuck. Okay? It's surface level as fuck. It's dumb as fuck. Okay? It's like claiming George Bush had something to do with 9/11.
Call from Jessica.
Yeah, are you a Trump supporter?
I have a question. I thought...
If I ask you a question, you don't skip over my question, okay? Jennifer, thank you so much. My friend from Texas today told me they have a Democrat and Republican line they had to stand in at the polls. Who told you that? Your friend? What do you mean, a Republican and Democrat line? Oh my God, will you shut up? If you don't think that do you know how many atrocities the United States commits around the globe? The United States government unalives people all the time, dude. What do you think? They're like careful in these circumstances? You think they're careful? They lied about a bunch of stuff, civilian deaths during Afghanistan too. But lying about how many military members die is not realistic. It's not realistic. It could be exposed easily. Cynthia, thank you so much, Cynthia. Cynthia wrote, this is a very nice message, Cynthia. Cynthia wrote, because of you, I voted for the first time in 57 years. Cynthia, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that, Cynthia. I'm glad to hear that. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Thank you, Cynthia. Appreciate you. Yeah, don't spread misinformation. It's just not. It's not real. It's not a realistic thing. Now, could they be? Are more people going to die? Yes. We're going to see a lot of people die over the next probably couple years. But this idea that we've lost 500 service members is dumb as fuck. And anyone reporting on that is dumb as fuck. That's all it is, plain and simple. It's dumb as fuck. And you're dumb if you perpetuate it. It's not realistic. If we lost 500 people, their family would be like, where the fuck is my family member? You know they communicate with their family members overseas, right? It just doesn't make any fucking sense. It's dumb as shit. And, like, there's so many more important things to focus on, like the fact that we're fighting a war in the Middle East again. By the way, 6 service members is a lot. Is a lot. So don't act like that's not a lot. For U.S. service members, that is a lot in these circumstances. They conducted entire month-long operations in Iraq and didn't lose 6 people. Okay? So it is a lot for the U.S. military. A lot. So, and unfortunately, it's going to be more. It's going to be more because our government is once again engaging in a senseless war in the Middle East and has no plan, no goal. They didn't have a plan in place for preventing escalation, which I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I hate to say this, it's been a failure so far, a complete failure. And you might hear me say that and say, well, you just don't like the administration, so you'd call it a failure either way. No, I'm calling it a failure because it's been an utter failure. The goal was to take out the supreme leader and some of their top government officials and then hope that the people would uprise in response. Didn't happen. Now you're thinking, oh my God, we got to kill more. And then you're also accepting the idea that you might have to kill them all. But what you also don't understand is, and this is why I can't stand our government, is the Iranian military is set up to operate with a decapitated leadership. It's a part of their restructured military doctrine and how they counter large-scale invasions like what's happening now when their leadership dies. They divide themselves into 31 independent mosaic units across provinces with different commanders. And they are empowered to fight without central approval if Tehran falls or communications break or the government is wiped out. They can sustain prolonged guerrilla warfare. And our government's about to find that out. Because you can strike and you could hope to bomb a government like this into submission. But the truth is that just doesn't work. It requires boots on the ground, and it's going to cost Americans their lives, and it's infuriating because you know what they're going to do? They're going to come back to us just like they did a couple days after this operation when they were insinuating they'd be in and out. This is not a war. This is a military operation. They're going to come back to us in a couple weeks and go, yeah, well, we don't know, maybe 5 weeks, maybe 8 weeks. They're already doing that. They're already trying to get you comfortable with the idea that they're going to spend an extended period of time over there. Pete Hegseth has said it now, said we're going to stay over there as long as we need to. Marco Rubio has said it. Donald Trump has said it. J.D. Vance has said it. Because they had a conversation. The American people are not going to be happy about this. About prolonged war. So that's why they keep saying, well, everyone but Trump. Trump keeps fucking blabbing his mouth and saying we're in a war. I don't know if he realizes it, but he's saying it. But everyone else is like, this isn't supposed to be, we understand. We don't want it prolonged. We want to do our business and then leave. And then Pete Hegseth's talking about how this is solely in the interest of advancing America's interests. And Trump is trying to play the great liberator. And all these different narratives are clashing live in front of the American people when they can't afford groceries, when they can't afford health care, when ICE is occupying Democrat cities, and saying, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Sick world. And it's not just Democrats that are unhappy with that. That's why I mention it, because you look at how independents are polling on the deportation operation. Poorly. Trump is polling very bad with independents right now, even on things he won the election on. Just thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. This Gary guy in chat thinks Kamala's husband was going to be the vice president. This simpleton in chat. Yeah, I was just about to pull it up, but no, I'm not actively watching it right now. Not actively. Let me move to the next thing here, because I've talked a lot about Iran. I've given my take there. I think you guys understand where I stand. I hope the best for the Iranian people. But I also want to say this just before we move on, people. The sad reality is, you know who's going to be the primary victim here? The Iranian people. Because I think our leadership might get frustrated enough that they just decide to just decimate them. It'll look like Rafah. It'll look like Gaza. So I think we're headed down a pretty bad path. A big waste of money. By the way, Iran is now choking the Strait of Hormuz. So you have oil prices are going to go up. Gas is going to potentially be $6-7 if this continues. We're talking about 20% of the world's oil supply. 20%. 20 million a day. Let's see if I can pull this up on here. Hold on one second. And these idiots are talking about Venezuela. No, Gary, I don't get your point. If you think Kamala Harris's husband was going to be the vice president, then you're lost. Then you're absolutely lost. But what the thing is, people, I'm just done with the Middle East. I'm done with this Israel fucking cucking this. This is all it is. We're just doing this for Israel. They can't think of an excuse good enough to sell the American people. They've tried so hard. Yeah, they might hit us with a nuke. And people are like, isn't that why we bombed enrichment facilities with our tax dollars? Like, isn't that why we did that? Because some people were willing to accept that. I've spoken to a lot of people across the political spectrum, and some of them were willing to accept that because they truly believed there was intelligence that they had developed weapons, or at least were close to developing weapons-grade enriched uranium. And then, hey, well, let's set them back several years. It protects my children. It's the best idea. What's the excuse now? There isn't a single fucking excuse you could come up with. They said that was the most successful military operation they've ever conducted in cooperation with Israel. And months later, we're back to bombing Iran. Because Netanyahu, and something you guys need to remember this, please listen here. Netanyahu wants this done before the midterms. Netanyahu's as concerned about the midterms as Donald is. This is the most pro-Israel president that that Israel's ever seen, that the United States has ever seen, according to Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu wants this done before the midterms, too. And I know a lot of us have ideas about them fixing things and manipulating things and ICE at the polling stations and all these different things we think are potential possibilities for them to interfere with the midterms. But without that, that's not something that would probably be revealed to Bibi anyway. Or maybe it would. But think. Bibi needs this done before the midterms to be safe. Because if he has any hope in dismantling Iran the way that he has dreamed for the last 30 years, it's to do it now. Under the Trump administration, while you have a guy who is war happy, missile happy, and loves the idea of killing people. Loves the power involved with taking out leaders so he can stand up on stage and go, the Ayatollah is dead. He reenacted that al-Baghdadi. Remember that meme that went around for a while? He did that same thing with the supreme leader. But that's why. That's why they're rushing. That's why Israel is rushing. And the timing has a lot to do with Israel. And I think that when Bibi sold this to Trump, Trump said, well, with all the Epstein stuff happening, I'm okay with the timing myself. So you have kind of this perfect storm, right? Bibi Netanyahu saying, we got to get this done before the midterms because God forbid Democrats win the midterms. They're going to stall Trump out. Trump's administration essentially ends with a successful Democrat midterm. And they know that. So Netanyahu knows he needs to get it done before the midterms. And he sells this idea to Trump. Hey, I think we should do this. And what does Trump think? Well, Netanyahu says, we can sell this to the American people. They're dangerous. They're going to, build a weapon, this and that. Trump's only thinking, well, it would be a good distraction from the Epstein stuff. That's literally Trump's only motive. This is chaos theater. This is chaos theater. And then add in additionally just the tiny percentage, the tiny possibility that you would be able to successfully decapitate their leadership and their military and install a puppet government to cooperate with Israel. That's legacy defining stuff. But that's not going to happen. At the end of the day, for Trump, the timing of this was about the Epstein files. I firmly believe that. Firmly believe that. And for Bibi Netanyahu, it was the midterms. Think about it, folks. This is really it for Netanyahu. If he wants the support of the United States, going forward, it's not going to happen. This country is headed in a direction that doesn't involve cooperation with Israel. This country's headed in a direction of breaking ties with Israel, and he knows it. And he knows where we're going, and that this is probably it. If he think about it, you think there's a scenario? Unlikely. If he wants to do it, he has to do it now. Trump is the guy. He needs to do it before the midterms, and this is the moment. And that's it. And I think that's all it has to do with. And when you think about it that way, it makes so much sense, doesn't it? Like we look for these different reasons, these motivations, right? Oil, all these things. And there are definitely other things like positive benefits for the government and for oil tycoons and things like this. But truthfully, that's really what it's about. It's about Israel. They're calling the shots and getting this done before the midterms. That's it. And Trump went along with it. So now we wait. Hopefully Israel didn't just suck us into long-term war. I also want to mention, as a part of the Mosaic defense, the Iran's military doctrine, you know what they do? One of their goals is to exhaust resources. They want the United States to exhaust their resources. That's one of the ways they make them pay. They become unpredictable and resilient. They launch attacks without coordination. It's not something I don't think I'm not sure the United States understands unless they're just willing to clobber the entire thing. And I think that is a very likely scenario. I think we could be in a situation, and mark my words, because this will be recorded, that they just bomb it until it looks like Rafah. And I think they will grow frustrated enough, and Bibi will be able to poke the bear enough that that's what will happen. So I hope it doesn't. Now let's move on to the next thing regarding the Epstein files. I don't think Bill Clinton did very well. I don't think it was possible for him to do well. It's because it's just an uncomfortable scenario. I think people are not inclined to believe what he's saying anyway. So I don't think I really didn't think it would be good. And to be honest with you, like I've lost a lot. I didn't have any. The little bit of respect I had for him left is gone. He said he didn't remember things that are just not believable. So I didn't respect him much before, but can we please keep him away from future campaigns now? Can we not wheel him out the next time we have a candidate that we like? You know? I mean, for the love of God, can we do that? Hold on, guys. My food is here. I'm just going to put this up because I was about to play it. So I just want to put this up while I'm grabbing my food really quick.
She's been sort of a part of our family for a very long time. So when I went to the Middle East, which I don't think I ever took a plane ride with Jeffrey Epstein, but she would typically go when I did.
So have you traveled with both of them together?
Excuse me, both of whom, Congresswoman?
Of course. Have you traveled with Jeffrey Epstein and Huma Abedin together?
I do not know.
Okay, thank you. If the staff can please pass out EFTA 0021628 and the rest of the documents I have them print regarding passports to the President and Council.
This will be Exhibit 12.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So,
Did I get a sandwich again? You're damn
Mr.
right
President,
I did.
if you look at the passport page at the bottom.
Did I get a sandwich again? You're damn right I did. You're damn right I did. I had to get one. The sandwich I got yesterday was so good. It's their, like, hot Italian one. It's their hot Italian one. I put a little red pepper relish on it, little chipotle dressing. You know why I like the sandwich? Because they actually offer chipotle. You could put chipotle on it. The other ones don't offer that. Dude, do I have a Republican in here? I know I'm getting suppressed. Maybe I shouldn't be putting like Epstein and shit in the fucking Iran and Epstein in the title, because I don't think that helps my case. Can we get a Trump supporter in here, please? If you're a Trump supporter, call in. Call in on the phone, you clowns. Give me a call. Guys, I would appreciate contributing to the gifting goal. Those are the things that help push us out onto the FYP. Maybe I shouldn't have come on here tonight. It's kind of late. It was unannounced, but I really came on here because I was about to fucking call someone and lose my temper. So I came on here so I didn't do that. You got a salami between two wheat slices? Listen, whatever you're into. I don't discriminate. You know, you do whatever you do, you know. No, I can't stand that when it comes to the Constitution. No, I mean, there's no excuse for it at all. I couldn't care less. You don't, whether it's undocumented immigrants or otherwise, you don't violate people's constitutional rights. So, I believe in the Constitution in the sense that it's what we have right now to protect our rights. So, I'm not going to say, I hate that. I literally hate that take. You know what I mean? When people are like, oh, well, why do you support the Constitution? The Constitution is, like, excuse me? We don't have any other fucking document in place. So if you eliminated the Constitution, we'd have nothing, you clowns. This isn't complicated. This guy just wrote a run-on sentence. Listen, comma. You know nothing, but you are GOP goals voters, independents, moderate Democrats to the GOP for the mids, and you are useful idiots, so keep talking. Is that a fucking sentence? Holy shit, these people are simple, bro. You see what that guy just wrote? UK Gnome 77. Listen, comma. You know nothing, but you are GOP goals voters, independents, moderate Democrats to the GOP for the bids, and you are useful idiots, so keep talking. Well, Jesus Christ, man. Holy shit, that's what is that a sentence? Do you know how to structure a fucking sentence, you chud? Do you know how to structure a fucking sentence? It's like they're trying to communicate with you. It's like you're in the wilderness. You know, and you're walking through the fucking wilderness and animals are like, and you're like, oh, he's trying to talk to me, I think. You know what I mean? These fucking troglodytes remind me of Jurassic Park. You know what I mean? Like you hear the noises from the dinosaurs in the woods, like that guy that popped out and sprayed the venom on the fat dude. Like, oh, you're so cute. Oh, he's spraying me with venom. I mean, they've literally gotten to the point where they don't even, we can't even understand them. Okay? You cave-brained idiot. God damn. Julie, thank you so much, Julie. I appreciate you. My God. I'm sorry, I'm sensitive to stupidity. Jesus. You know, it's just, they're just, like, they always talk about how much, like, they probably don't have a single clue what I'm even saying. I can't get Jurassic Park online without this. Dude, let me tell you, nothing will beat the original Jurassic Park. The original Jurassic Park was the shit. My favorite senators on Fox, who, Fetterman? That's another fucking caveman. Fetterman looks like he'd have a garden gnome living on his back. Like, I feel like Fetterman's back has moss on it, and, like, there's a garden gnome back there that, like, assists him when no one's looking. Like, that's what it feels like. You know what I mean? Next time I call Fetterman, I'm going to ask if he has a mossy back and if there's a gnome on the back of it. I feel like a little garden gnome reaches over his back. Don't do that, John. Lay down. Of course he did. He's a clown. But I can't pull it up right now because I don't see them live. I'd love to hear it, though. Oh, it is. I got it. Let me pull it up. He is speaking right now, folks. Hold on. Guys, everybody hit the thumbs up button. Let's hear the troglodyte is speaking right now. John Fetterman. They call him Fetty Fetterman.
From U.S. lawmakers.
They've done, and they actually.
The
Game is here about when this war may actually end and how they plan to achieve their objective.
I'm saying it's like I think we can all agree. I mean, find a senator in here that says we should never allow Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb. Have you know anyone that says they're okay with them having a nuclear weapon? I haven't met any of them. So for me, this entire thing was that end game is make sure that's destroyed, I'm sure. That's part of it, make sure there's no way they could ever acquire a nuclear bomb. And it seems that. And then also the other missile technologies for that. So everything that I've heard there, to me, it just essentially there's no new shocking kinds of news or any of
But wasn't the nuclear program set happen? Why did this additional attack need to happen?
Well, that's part of the brief.
What did they tell you?
Senator, are you comfortable with the
He
fact
has
that
no
Congress
idea.
was left out of the decision-making process?
Well, what does the War Powers Resolution in 73 say? It says that the president has to provide 48 hours of notification, and he's done that. And then they have up to 60 days, perhaps a 30 days extension. And there's no boots on the ground, and it's been into 100 hours so far. So where has anything been broken or they haven't made every standard?
How do you describe the fact that how do you describe the fact that you're the only Senate Democrat, though, with that position?
Because I'm the Democrat. I'm aware that it's pretty toxic for a Democrat to say I happen to agree with that opposes this, saying they've all said we can never allow Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb. Then what's your, and that seems like that's happening. Why can't you just acknowledge that's a good thing?
He has no idea.
No. Why can't? Why can't you just say that? It's like, this is 47 years. It's like sanctions and treaties and all kinds of other negotiations and everything. Nothing's worked, and that's the case. So why can't we all just say the world is safer and it's more just now because of that? What this happens? You don't have to agree on everything, but it's like, yes, I'm the only Democrat because I'm not afraid of my base to just say, you know what, this was overall a good thing. You don't have to agree on everything. So I'm going to be honest. So, why can't you just acknowledge that one of the most evil people on the face of the earth was erased? That's a good thing.
Can't you do both? Can't you do both? And I think there are questions about the scope of the operation moving forward, how long it will last. 6 service members have already been
Well, I mean, no one knows exactly how long it's going to last overall. I mean, that's who knows. But really, that's also what's really also undeniable is that Iran has seriously been degraded. If they have a big shot to shoot, they would have done it by now, and they haven't. And now, really, all of this other kinds of small things, they're just cheap drones being fired off at random nations there. If anything, they continue to isolate themselves. If anything, you could see like a good opportunity to now move them more towards Abraham Accords. There are these small things, but where is all of things beyond those small kinds of things? Overall, Iran has been effectively effectively degraded in a way where they really have limited, if any, capabilities at this point.
Senator, why should Congress assert its constitutional role and actually vote to declare war the way it did with Iraq and Afghanistan?
The last war we've actually declared was World War II.
No, Iraq and Afghanistan, the AUMF.
Afghanistan. Okay, so
no, actually, Fetterman's
so for me right now, what is it now?
So let's correct this. This guy says yes, but those were resolutions. We have not declared war since World War II, so technically Fetterman was correct there. Heather's Cutter, thank you so much. He's just missing the point, right? Those were still wars, is what these guys are saying. Those are still wars, right? Even though we didn't, like, Congress didn't declare war.
The War Powers resolution, 60 days, and we're 100 hours into this. Now, what's at this point?
Heather's Cutter, thank you so much, Heather.
On this. It's like, we can't keep our government open. We've shut it down for 45 days.
That's why we shouldn't be at war, you troglodyte. Why are you defending this?
And now the entire DH thing is shut down. We can't even maintain our core responsibilities to keep our government open. So right now.
Would you change your position on war powers in terms of a ground invasion into Iran?
What? No, I'm saying it's like this is.
Guys, UK Gnome is triggered in the chat. He says, why would, let's read UK Gnome's new attack on me, right? Ready? Why would we go off the fact that Trump proves whatever you say is wrong, but we'll just start trusting your opinion, which has never been right? Yeah, that makes sense. UK Gnome, let me be super clear about this. Everything I've predicted has been right. It's the exact opposite. In fact, people are shocked at how accurate my predictions have been. Shocked. To the T. And it pisses Republicans like you off. But you're here because you know I'm right. You're here because you know what I'm saying is true. And you're here because you want the truth. You're resisting it. You know and I know. Nail on the head. Nail on the head. Troglodyte.
To protect Americans who are now stranded abroad. Israel received a warning on Friday.
Why don't you call in UK Gnome? Why don't you call in UK Gnome 77?
But there are many Americans in other countries now without.
Anything else?
Senator, do Americans have anything to be concerned about with regard to retaliation here domestically? Any cells that we need to worry about? Anything?
I don't have any specific kinds of intelligence on that, of course, but our DHS system is shut down, so that's probably not great timing for that. And again, I'm the only Democrat that votes. That's wrong.
Hey, wait a second. Our DHS system is shut down. Kash Patel literally gutted the agency, the counterintelligence agency that does this type of work. Gutted it the day before the attack. Gutted it.
To do that.
Has nothing to do with funding. They gutted these agencies so that way they wouldn't have the funds to look into these things. Why? Because they also investigate domestic terrorism. They investigate homegrown terrorists. And that means that right-wing, extremist, fascist, pro-Trump organizations like the Proud Boys, like the Boogaloo Boys, like Patriot Front, get investigated as well. Those agencies were crushed so they couldn't investigate those militia groups and then simultaneously put the American people at risk.
Yeah, we all want to make some changes on ICE, but we all know that won't have any impact what they've done, and now it's shut down.
Do you support regime change inside Iran?
What?
Do you support regime change inside Iran by President Trump?
Well, I thought that's part of, a regime change. It's like the top 55 of them were killed, and I think they just blew up 80 of the randoms mullahs, too. Which, that was pretty great, actually. So, all right.
Fetterman, you're a clown.
Senator Fetterman.
You're a freaking clown. You are such a clown. I swear to God, if this dude doesn't have a moss hill on his back, I'd be shocked. That was pretty great, actually. They had a council set up 3 hours after the attack. He has no idea what he's talking about. Look up Iran's constitution, Article 111. Look up their independent Mosaic unit defense. Look at the things that he has no idea how their government operates. They have a 4-point strategy. They literally have contingencies in place because the supreme leader was 86 years old. He was 86. He was on his last leg anyway. Maybe he lives until his 90s. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. He's old as shit. So clearly they had plans in place, and their government is set up to have plans in place. Their constitution is quite literally crafted towards these types of scenarios. All right, let's read UK Gnome again. Right. Yeah, this is all a big conspiracy. You don't understand the 50 years that Iranian authoritarian government, what they've done. You don't have the knowledge of education to speak on this. UK Gnome, let me say this in the kindest possible way. I have forgotten more than you will ever know. I've told you to call in multiple times. I'm muting you now. Call the phone number and I will embarrass you. Call the phone number right now if you're brave. 908-652-3703. Call in and prove to everybody that you are smarter than me, that you have more knowledge than me on this topic. Call in. I dare you. Let's have a little conversation. Winner gets my Jersey Mike sub. Loser has to buy me another Jersey Mike sub. Better get a gift card, Chud, because I'll be collecting that debt for damn sure. Put some extra Chipotle on it. No, I think Fetterman just gets off on being controversial. I think he likes, he understood the Joe Manchin kind of style of politicking. Hopefully this is that guy.
Call from
Stacy.
Are you UK Gnome?
Who?
The guy in chat, idiot.
What?
All right, hold
no,
on.
You're the moron.
Call from.
Are you UK Gnome?
Listen here, all right? Why would
What a moron.
Why would
What a moron. You're such a moron, dude. For real.
Why are
You're
you
so
crashing
scared.
out,
You're a
old
coward.
man? What are you crashing out about
No,
tonight?
I'm not crashing, dude. I'm old. Dude, you look like you're 50.
What are
You're
you
only
crashing
like, what,
out of it?
13?
Did you say I look like I'm 50? Damn,
Dude,
that's
you're
the
fat
first person that's
nosy, dude.
ever
You're
said that
fat.
to me. Listen, do you have a take or not, you
Well,
crusty
anyway.
old creep?
Yeah, I do. There's conspiracy stuff. Come on, dude. There's geopolitics.
What
that you're just not
conspiracy
educated
stuff?
To understand.
What conspiracy
Well, you're
stuff?
talking about BB pulling the strings, and that there's a big conspiracy to get cut.
That's not a
Israel loose. That's not
conspiracy, you
happening.
dumbass.
No, it is, dude.
All right,
This
hold
dumb
on. Let
shit.
me play
Give me-
something
okay,
for
show
you.
me. Give me
All
the
right.
facts.
I'm going to show
Give me
you.
something
I'm going to
facts.
show you
Give
right
me a
now. Stop talking.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't speak.
I'm not talking.
I'm going to play
I'll
for you
speak.
right
Go ahead.
now. Marco
Okay.
Rubio. Okay? I want you to take a listen.
Okay.
This was yesterday. And you take a listen. You take a listen for me. Okay?
I am. Okay.
Forced Israel's hand.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed.
Did you hear that?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, turn the live stream on and listen. I'm going to put you on mute. Turn my live stream on and listen to what I'm playing. Okay, old man?
I've already seen.
All right, let's play it again.
Israel's hand.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed.
He literally says it right there.
I'm listening, watching your show. Like,
He literally just
right now.
said it right there, that we knew Israel was
Okay,
going
listen.
to
I
attack,
can hear it now.
and therefore
I
we
can
had...
hear it.
Shut up.
You shut up. I'm trying to listen, you fat ass.
All right, goodbye. You're gone. You're just stupid. You're too dumb, clearly, to understand this, you crusty old man. The mantle is calling. Fine and dandy cotton candy. Thank you for being a member for 4 months. Appreciate you. Fine and dandy cotton candy. Listen, UK Gnome, why don't you call in, bro? Call in, UK Gnome. Let's have a conversation. Or Ninja Cookie. Do you love how triggered Republicans get by me? It's because I'm their fucking king. And they know it. They know I'm their king. That's why they come to watch me. Gather before me, my troglodytes. Gather before me and bend thy knee. I stand before you, adamcrai, your fucking daddy.
Call from.
I'm UK Gnome, you.
Stop calling, you fucking weirdo. No, you're not. And if you are, you're dumb. Let's see if we can get can we get a competent Republican? Is there someone out there that can actually debate these topics? Like, is there anyone out there that can actually debate these topics? Like, come on. They get triggered because I smash on them. Ninja Cookie, you do nothing. Ninja Cookie. Here's a cookie for you, you little creep. All right, Ryan, call in. Let's have a conversation, Ryan, if you're not a douche. Call in, Ryan, if you're not a douche. Naylin, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat, Naylin. Appreciate you so much, Naylin. Never met an intelligent MAGA. Me neither, Donna. They're all pretty stupid. This is the same old man. He calls every fucking live. It's the same guy. Stop calling, old creep. You fucking stalker. Stop calling. This guy calls my live every time I'm live. It's so creepy. Same dude every time. Do you have a fucking life, dude? Like, honestly, do you have a life? God damn. For somebody that hates me, you sure watch me a lot. You sure watch me a lot for somebody that fucking hates me. I can't stand you. Let's listen to it again for all the Republicans here. Word for word from Marco Rubio.
Hand.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed.
There you go. We knew Israel was going to attack. Yes, Donna, I have a lot of Republican fans. They're all troglodytes. Yeah, how's the race going in Texas right now? I'm not watching it live, but how's it going? Tell me how it's going. Yeah, we're not talking to that guy. We're trying to get an actual competent Republican, okay? Not a dumbass that wants to insult. He doesn't have an actual argument, which is why he's just calling in to troll. And neither do you, Stephen Mears. But, Steven, I want to be honest with you for a second, though. I just looked you up. Are you on a registry, bro? Because there's someone with your exact name who's on a fucking registry, bro. Just so you know. I'm just letting you know. I don't know. Is it you? There's someone with your name that's, like, quite literally. Just saying. Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you, Sarah. All I have is the same creepy stalker calling over and over. It's the same guy every single time. That's all I have right now. The same creepy stalker who calls my live every single time I'm live. Hi, dude. Let me check right now. I'll look it up. Let me see if I can get live updates.
She was able to raise significant amounts of money quarter to quarter just as a sitting member of the House before she was even a Senate candidate. And so the fact that Tallarico was able to find...
Call from.
I'm not.
You are far too old to keep doing this. Get a life.
Call from.
Ryan.
Ryan, what's going on, dude?
What's happening, bro? How are you?
I'm good. So are you a Trump supporter?
I
mean, you are.
You wouldn't be able to tell.
You are, but let's just move
I
on.
am. I like to watch facts, bro.
But you're still you voted for Trump and you support him.
Of course.
Okay. So what do you think about the war in Iran? We'll start there.
Hold on. Let me get rid of this. All right. Go ahead. What do I think about what?
Could you turn that TV off in the background by any chance?
Yeah, I can turn it off right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. What do you think about the war in Iran?
Well, I like to look at two different sides. One, we've got half of the people there. We've got 70 million people that are celebrating. As far as you look to the actual Persians, those who were raised under the regime are celebrating. They know nothing else besides Islam. Persia was not an Islamic country before the regime, correct?
Yeah, so you understand my argument here, right?
Well, I don't really know, to be honest.
Okay, so let me lay it out for you. My argument is, even if you're trying to argue liberation, it doesn't prove anything because, number one, it's nearly impossible, and I'll lay that out for you as well, but it has no benefit for the American taxpayer.
Well, I guess we have to go as far as to what kind of war are we in? If we're just looking on the basis of things as far as what we're trying to see what's real and not real on whether it's social media or the legacy media, we really don't know to the extreme of what these powers are that's really what they're really doing.
Okay, now,
can we agree on that?
Yes, well, so here's what I'll agree on. Can you sit still and talk into the phone, though? I agree that we can agree that the regime is evil, fact. That the regime has bad intentions, fact. That the regime would likely use a nuclear weapon against Israel, fact. Agreed?
Very possible.
Okay.
More than likely.
More than likely. So, it's very possible. So those facts I agree. I have no problem admitting the regime is evil. I couldn't care less if he died of natural causes or someone else did it. I have no use for him. They're an oppressive leadership. What I'm trying to advocate against is endless war in the Middle East. You're talking about Persia not being a Muslim country before the Ayatollah. What does that have to do with the United States? I mean, they were Muslim before the Ayatollah, but what does that have to do with the United States?
Well, you ended that your everything to the last point where they were a Muslim country, which that's not true. They're Zoroastrian.
Okay, 1,300 years prior they were. Like, do you understand?
Yes, I can. Yes, I know they've been taken over. You can go
okay, so then as long as we agree on this, I'm just saying they had been Muslim for an extended period of time. So
yes.
What I'm trying to say to you is that that's not relevant to the United States, though.
Well,
what does that do for the American taxpayer? First of all, let's not pretend they're trying to liberate anyway. Didn't they say quite literally this is for advancing American interests? What does this have to do with liberating the Iranian people?
I think there's more to it than that. Maybe that is just a ploy, but I'm aware of the greater Israel project. So yes, I take that under consideration as far as that's probably part of the ultimate plan. So I stay, that's why I say yes. I support Trump because I'm hopeful for
Can you speak a little bit louder?
Taxpayers' money. Taxpayers' money. When you speak of the taxpayers, nothing changes under our scope, and they realize they've been robbing our taxes for a long time.
What do you mean nothing changes?
I'm just hopeful that there is a undergoing of the system, so I do remain hopeful for some of that. Now,
okay, but
I'm not saying,
sir, let me just say this real quick. Did you just say it doesn't have a cost on the American taxpayer? They've already exceeded $1 billion in just the first few days. This all cost this absolutely cost the American taxpayer.
So you're under the.
And then you have, and then
taxes will be going up.
Well, no, I'm saying they're using taxpayer dollars.
No, they
but
don't
hold
change.
on. Well, taxes don't go
Okay.
up. But
so what's the difference of the
so you have
waste and the fraud that they?
So I'm going to explain. So you have indirect hits to trade and energy, oil and shipping costs. Right? I talked earlier about this. The Strait of Hormuz. Do you know what the Strait of Hormuz is?
Absolutely.
Okay, what is it?
Well, that's the port that Iran is basically running.
It's a waterway.
Oil and stuff. Their energy
Right.
is yes.
It's a waterway, and
now
20% of the world's oil goes through this waterway. So they mine it and do things like that to disrupt the waterway. Okay? So you have gas prices jumping amid the Strait of Hormuz threats, right? And that compounds the taxpayer burden via inflation and lost growth.
Well, let's talk about where the majority of Iran.
Hold on, can I please just finish? This is very important.
Yes, go ahead.
You guys, and this isn't a shot at you personally, but you guys aren't educated on this. Do you know what Iran's mosaic defense is?
Tell me.
Okay. So Iran's mosaic defense literally targets American financial costs. The strategy of the mosaic defense, well, there's a couple of them, but ultimately the mosaic defense is a military doctrine that they use to counter large-scale invasions, especially against like the United States and Israel, where they're outmatched militarily, right? So they decentralize command operations. They can essentially run without any government, right? So they divide their forces into 31 independent mosaic units across provinces. And one of their primary goals is to raise U.S. political and fiscal strain. They exhaust U.S. resources by using like guerrilla warfare, forcing them to put boots on the ground. The entire goal of the mosaic defense now is to exhaust U.S. resources, to make it as expensive as possible, to make victory an impossibility. This is a military doctrine they have studied because they knew eventually Israel was going to do this, right? So this is what I mean by
Correct.
You guys just aren't as educated on this, and it's not a shot at you, but you're just not educated enough to understand that it absolutely has a burden, and their military doctrine is targeted towards fiscally straining the U.S. economy.
Well, I can understand that. That's a part of war,
Well, no, this is
Obviously,
specific, though.
There's also psychological war going on right now, which is exactly what's going on, where both sides think they've got it all figured out, and that, both sides are so unequivocally stuck on their high horses, pointing the finger at the other side, saying, "Oh, I got it right, and you don't, and I got it right." 50-50. How the hell is where one side is completely right and completely wrong? You're misconception here.
I understand what you're saying.
They got everyone sitting here bickering around thinking that they've got it figured out, and we don't really have a fucking clue what's going on. We really don't.
I understand what you're saying, sir.
And
but
the
that's
fact that
sir,
we want to
listen to me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand what you're saying, but that's a different argument. My argument, this debate is strictly focused on whether or not this is a good decision. And this is not a good decision, and you know it.
That.
And you know it's not a good decision. And you know I'm right. You know I'm right.
Well, I'm not for war. I'm not for death. Well, I'm not for death, but I'm also not for, like you said earlier, something was going to happen. And I liked what Trump said tonight, which he said that he knew that they were going to be happening. If Israel makes a move, just like you said, they were going to strike just like they did. What they do, they shot at every country surrounding there.
Yes.
And so now you've got, which was just like you said, they're wanting that. They're trying to create something.
Correct. Yeah.
And, this is just the beginning, man. And the key is, I think it goes beyond our visual, what we can literally see.
No, I'll be honest with you. What's your first name? What's your first name?
Ryan.
Ryan, I will tell you, I truly don't believe Donald Trump could tell you what the Mosaic defense is. If you asked him right now, Donald Trump, what is the Mosaic defense? I don't think he would understand. Now,
well, I could tell you this, that he's got somebody underneath him that's going to tell him exactly what.
You can make that
and
argument.
He knows how to reuse those resources, It ain't about that.
Let me just skip to this point really quick. Here's what matters, Ryan. This is what this conversation comes down to. I'm done supporting Israel. I want to cut ties completely with Israel. I want to, the first president that gets in office and says, we're done supporting Israel, their genocides, their endless conflict in the Middle East. We're just done with the Middle East in general. It's not even particular to Israel, although I would argue that this most recent situation with Gaza is definitely plays a major role, but that we are done with the endless $1 trillion bloodshed in the Middle East. Finished with it. Americans can't afford health care. They need GoFundMes to pay for insulin. I care about my fellow Americans, and I'm tired of giving money to Israel so they can maintain dominance in the Middle East. That's what the difference is. You need to be willing to commit to, do you care more about American citizens? Is it America first or Israel first, sir?
Well, it's my family first.
Is it America first or Israel first, sir?
It's my neighbor, and it's my country. It's my country. It's America, obviously.
Okay. At least you're willing to say that.
If you put it to
just want to make sure you're not a Zionist,
yes,
that's all.
Of course. No, I'm not. Like I said, brother, I'm just along for the ride, and I'm trying to be an observer, and I don't let none of it affect my mood these days, because that's what I truly think. It's whether they want everyone's emotions in an uproar, and the more that we can be able to have a discussion and to disagree is where we need to be. People that can't even have the discussion is the problem, and so you and I appreciate our time.
Listen, we can have a discussion.
What you're doing.
I just want to say this, man, really seriously, and I know we're about to end this conversation. I just want to say to you, I want you to consider what I'm saying. I'm not a Democrat. I'm actually a leftist. I don't even agree with most of what Democrat foreign policy is trash too. I'm much more of a social dem, far, what you would probably consider far left. And I will tell you that pretty much across the political spectrum, people are starting to get sick of the Middle East and support for Israel thing. And I'm just trying to plant seeds. I want you to consider what I said tonight. You can think about the strategy, and I encourage you to look up the military doctrine and the Mosaic defense and all these different things, and straining resources and all these different things they're going to do with guerrilla warfare. But I want you to understand that I want you to consider, how many times are we willing to do Israel's bidding? Americans are dying. We already lost 6 service members for Israel, not for the United States. They don't have missiles that can reach us. We dropped bunker busters on their enrichment facilities and destroyed them, according to Donald Trump. Right? Those bombs are huge. We dropped them on their enrichment facilities. Israel apparently doesn't have that technology. We did it for them. Okay, so we destroyed their capabilities.
Bro, I'm gonna send you a message and kind of let you know my opinion on things. And if you want to further our discussion, we can set up a time.
Or you can call back, anytime. But thanks for calling.
I will do that.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Have a good one.
Yep. The important part is that people understand the root of this conversation is in the United States support for Israel. That's really what it comes down to, folks. At its core. We can talk about why strategically I think they fucked up. Because I think originally the plan, like I said before, was to kill the Ayatollah and hopefully some other top leaders. I'm not sure they cared as long as it was a significant decapitation. and then hope for a significant uprising in response. But they didn't get that. They wanted that, but they didn't get it. So now they're starting to realize, well, we're going to have to do more to lay the groundwork for a legitimate uprising because they need the Iranian people to do the work here, or they're going to have to put boots on the ground. Why do you think they keep reminding the Iranian people, now's your time to uprise? And by the way, they're actually correct about that. Now is their time to uprise. Otherwise, they're never going to get an opportunity again. So if they want to do it, they should do it now. If I was there, I would do it now. The problem is...
Call from
Mike.
Mike, are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold on one second, Mike. So the issue is that they understand that if the Iranian people, if they don't lay the groundwork for a legitimate uprising, you have to put boots on the ground. How are you going to sell that to the American people? That's why I'm concerned they're just going to flatten it like they did Rafa. What's going on, dude? You're a Trump supporter. How old are you, and where are you from, and why? And what's your thoughts on this?
Hey, Mike, I appreciate you having me and with your respectful question. Yeah, I'm a Trump supporter, 37. Travel to different states and stuff, but in Florida, that's like my hometown. And yeah, my thoughts on it, I think it's necessary. I don't think anyone disagrees that it's unnecessary unless you're unreasonable. I think the particulars of how they went about doing it, you can maybe question it, but I don't think there's an olive branch given to the other side. So I think they either would have leaked it to the media or it would have gone bad if they went through the Congress channel to do it, which they don't need to, but I mean, if they did.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't have as much of an issue with that. I'm a little, in terms of the mechanics of the war powers resolution, the allocation of war powers, I don't agree with their interpretation, but I don't think it's necessarily illegal. I'm a little more okay with the fact that he consulted with the Gang of Eight. I believe in that, in laying out a plan for congressional approval, because the people need to understand through their elected representatives what the plan is to prevent escalation. When you have when you're trying to sell another conflict, Americans don't just wake up and you go, guys, we're back in the Middle East, trust us, right? You got to lay out some kind of plan. That just shows a level of respect that you have for the American populace and the money that you're spending, that's theirs. Right? It's really a matter of just not giving a fuck what anyone else thinks rather than a legal argument. But when you said you're unreasonable if you think it didn't need to happen, well, here's the issue, right? It didn't need to happen. Can you tell me why you think it needed to happen so I can break down the argument that way?
Yeah, I'll give you the biggest example that I don't think anybody is referring or going back to 2008. When back then presidential candidate Hillary Clinton was running for office against then candidate Obama, and I quote, said, Iran cannot gain nuclear power, and I will, quote, annihilate Iran. That if I am elected president, I will go into Iran, especially if they decide to attack Israel. Nobody spoke out against her saying this, and most of the people that were on the left were in agreement with her. Her party was in agreement. Nobody, when they went and they did interviews with her, nobody called her out on that hard line stance of going against Iran. Every single one of these people, politicians, know how dangerous Iran was. But all of a sudden, all of these stances are switching now that Trump is the one who didn't talk about it, but actually did it. So I think that is the biggest example of hypocrisy, and also the biggest example of us needing to deal with Iran. That is, you can't, as Martin Luther King said,
from a letter from a Birmingham jail, 1964. You can't have a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, opposed to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice. Everybody think peace without tension is good peace. No, that's a negative peace. If you truly want peace, you need some tension. And this is tension that we're getting. And it's to establish a more fortified peace, in my estimation and opinion.
Okay, let me respond to that. Guys, I'm going to reset the gifting goal because it expired. I would appreciate if we could complete the gifting goal. Laura, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. All right, let's break this down. I'm very familiar with what you're talking about. That was actually the first political campaign that I was somewhat involved in. I knocked on doors and stuff because I was a Barack Obama supporter as a very young person graduating high school, okay? And when you say that nobody did anything, you're wrong, because Barack Obama's team criticized Hillary Clinton saying that. They literally said she was saber rattling. They literally said she shouldn't be threatening to bomb, right? So that actually was something that was called out immediately by the Barack Obama team, right? So that's not true.
That was referencing media.
Okay, I'm just saying that Democrats did call it out. Barack Obama, her opponent, called it out. So, but I'm not arguing Hillary Clinton's comment there. What was narrow, right? But I think it was more or less a hypothetical deterrent against Iran hypothetically launching a nuclear strike on Israel, not a blanket call to preemptively bomb their country, right? And say, no, we're not, because Trump doesn't even want them to have civilian nuclear power. He called that uncivilized, right? She said if Iran were to launch a nuclear attack on Israel, the U.S. would obliterate them as a retaliation. We're talking about preemptive strikes here, okay? We're not. She's making a statement aimed at trying to deter them from bombing Iran. Those are two different things. We're talking about preemptive measures here, right? Preemptive measures. And by the way, this is bipartisan deterrence policy. Both sides agree with this as well. So both those things are not true. Now, if your argument is that because a Democrat said this in 2008 and that's what makes it justified to spend the taxpayer money on this, I'm not sure I understand your argument other than Hillary Clinton said it was okay, so then it's okay, even though now that I've specified those things are very different, and she was talking about retaliatory measures if Iran was to try and bomb Israel. Does that change your mind?
Israel, she didn't use nuclear. No, because she never used the word nuclear. If you go and look at the video, she said if Iran were to attack.
She quite literally did. I specifically remember saying. She quite literally did. She said if Iran was to launch a nuclear bomb or weapon or something on Israel, she used the word nuclear. It was a big deal at the time. She said totally obliterate them.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with that part. I'm using a context in which you're using attack versus nuclear weapons. You're saying she specified the word nuclear if they were to use nuclear measures against Israel.
Correct.
From what I know and from what I remember, it wasn't those wasn't her words. It was if they were to attack or foolishly attack Israel, then they would obliterate them. But you're saying nuclear. So I won't argue you
I'll
on
look
that
it
point.
up if you want.
What I'm saying is
I'll look it up if you want. I mean, I could be wrong.
If you want to, yeah, because yeah. Okay, yeah.
So this is from.
And I'm not saying you're wrong.
Here's worldjewishcongress.org. The Democratic president Hillary Clinton has threatened that Iran could face total oblivion if it chooses to launch a nuclear attack against Israel. I'm trying to look for the exact quote. The question was if Iran were so here we go. The question was at the time, if Iran were to launch a nuclear attack on Israel, what would our response be? And I want the Iranians to know that if I'm president, we will attack Iran. Speaking on ABC television, Clinton added, I want them to understand that because it does mean that they have to look very carefully at society because whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel. So there's nuclear mentioned right there. We would totally obliterate.
Yeah, but I'm
Hold on.
I mean in context. I mean,
she literally said, and I quote, right? Listen to this. Wherever they might be in their nuclear weapons program, if they consider launching an attack on Israel, we would totally obliterate them. So nukes were mentioned.
yeah, it was mentioned, but in the context, that's I don't want to say that's a misinterpretation of what you're saying. You're taking one part of context and putting it towards another. She didn't directly say if they were to nuclear, she didn't say if they were to attack them nuclearly or whatever. She just said if they were to attack. But I see your point. I don't want to argue like semantics and stuff. I see the point that you're trying to make.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, for a long time, America has been defenders of Israel. If anyone knows world geography, you see where Israel is placed. Israel is just a small, tiny little country, and they're surrounded essentially by all of their enemies. Like Iran, for example, is much bigger than Israel, and it's been having to defend itself in the Middle East against all of these Muslim countries. So I don't know, but do you know of any other Jewish states in the Middle East that has the size, or let's say the military capability that Israel has, or is Israel isolated in that small little region by themselves?
So your argument, so there's no other sovereign Jewish states.
I'm not making an argument. I'll give you my premise.
You're trying to say they're alone, so they need help. I'll answer your question, though. I'll play along. There's no other sovereign Jewish states in the Middle East that have existed comparably to modern Israel.
Okay, and now I'll make my argument. So the only thing I'm saying is, for a long time, America, both bilateral, Democrats and Republicans, have all been on the same side of protecting Israel, because they seem to, I would say, they're outmanned. I don't know if they're outgunned, but they're outmanned. I think everybody came away from their hardline stance once Trump got in office, and everything he does, everyone has to do opposite. Therefore, during the State of the Union address, they couldn't stand up for Americans. Okay, well, I'll let you. I definitely want to hear your point on that. But they couldn't stand up when Trump said, "Stand up for Americans against illegals." They couldn't stand up, not because the quote was wrong, but because it was coming from Trump. And when CBS did a poll asking, viewers, what did they think of the speech, over 70% of the audience agreed or liked Trump's State of the Union.
Yeah.
I would love to hear your point on that.
Yeah. So, guys, really quick, I would appreciate if everybody in here, number one, make sure you're subscribed. Please hit the thumbs up button. Everyone in here, I'm asking to please hit the thumbs up button. Please contribute to the gifting goal. These are the things that help push the live into the algorithm. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. We've been doing this debating for about a year now, a little less than a year straight, and we're trying to hit the 20,000. So everybody hit the thumbs up. I would appreciate it. So let me break this down. First of all, Trump, and I can't believe that Republicans have actually fallen for this. And I believe you actually believe that they should have stood there. It's almost elementary, right? Like when someone says, last one to leave the room farted, right? If you don't stand up right now, then, you eat, liver and onions. You eat liver and onions. It's very elementary. When they went into the State of the Union, they went in with the idea they were going to be protesting. And just like a sit-in, right? if the police came in and said anyone sitting down actually doesn't care about their country, and everyone got up because a police officer said anyone sitting down doesn't care about their country, wouldn't you consider them pretty easily fooled? It's just a tactic, and you know that. You know that. Standing up in that context doesn't mean that you care about the American people. What shows you care about the American people is trying to get them health care and stop spending their money like it's endless in the Middle East. You see, I have some understanding, right, of why people would be concerned in that region of Iran's ideology, right, and their government's ideological commitment to hurting Israel. That being said, it's not our problem. You could sell me till the cows come home, right, which is what you tried to insinuate when you said, is there any other sovereign Jewish nation, that because Israel is isolated, that they should receive the support of the United States because they deserve to have their free state, right? That's pretty much the argument that you're making there. That's what you were insinuating. It's not our problem. My argument strictly relies on what it does for the American taxpayer. How far does your commitment go? Does your commitment go to boots on the ground? Elaborate for me and tell me if the government comes out tomorrow, if Trump comes out tomorrow and Rubio and Hegseth, and they say, guys, we're going to commit thousands of troops to the ground in Israel. Are you okay with that?
If Trump were to say they're committing boots to the grounds in Israel, you mean in Iran?
Oh, I'm sorry,
not
in
Israel,
Iran.
right?
In Iran, yes, I misspoke.
In Iran, yeah. Would I be okay? Yeah.
Oh my God! So this is the point. You're okay with American lives, right? You're okay with people dying, American servicemen dying for Israel. I'm not. And it's not like we're in a state. It's not like we're in a state right now where things are great, right? People need GoFundMes to pay for health care, to pay for medication. Let me also establish something for you that highly concerns me about this government's competency and their lack of understanding of how the Iranian government works, okay? Because I clearly don't think they do. Iran has a recently restructured military doctrine because they knew at some point Bibi was going to attack them, and probably with the help of the United States. So they set up a plan to kind of create chaos for large-scale invasions, knowing that they have much less military equipment. Please listen. Okay, this is very important. So Iran divides its forces into 31 independent mosaic units across provinces, right? So they each have local commanders in each province. Okay, and so they operate without the approval of Tehran, meaning you could decapitate their entire leadership, and until you kill every last military member, you lose. Do you know who else did stuff like this? The Nazis. The Nazis kind of had a similar doctrine, although it wasn't executed across the entire military the way it would, but
you're juxtapositioning
within the
Nazis to the U.S.
No, what I'm saying is that there are similarities between their military doctrines, the Iranian government, the way it's set up, and how the Third Reich, the SS, operated within the Third Reich, meaning they continue to fight until they die. They fight until they die. It's an ideological commitment. That's why I'm saying I don't think the United States government understands their military doctrine, not the United States and the Third Reich. I'm comparing how Iran's government's structures their military doctrine and how similar it is to how the doctrine was in the Third Reich and the SS. You fight until you die. It's designed to counter these large-scale invasions, and even when your back is against the wall and you know you're going to lose, in Iran's case specifically, they prioritize survival through chaos over tech integration. They specifically exhaust your financial resources. They push the limit so you spend unlimited amounts of money. The entire point, right, is they know they're going to lose at that point. right? They know they're done. They're in deep shit, right? And so they use guerrilla warfare, right? They use guerrilla warfare, and they try and make it as expensive as they make it almost impossible to defeat them that way. And so my fear is that we're going to get sucked into this long-term conflict again in the Middle East. We're going to be again in a long-term conflict, years long. I don't think it's going to be 20 years. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 4, maybe it's 3. But it's extensive. And Americans die. And gas is going to be $6, $7 because I don't know if you know what the Strait of Hormuz is. Do you know what the Strait of Hormuz is? It's the waterway in which 20%, it's the waterway in which 20, right. So 20% of the world's oil passes through this waterway. You know what Iran does? They mine it. People are under the assumption they push out their navy and they go head to head with the United States. No, that's not how they're going to fight. They're going to use guerrilla warfare, and they're going to mine the Strait of Hormuz, and then you're going to have expensive gas, and then trucks are going to stop, and groceries are going to triple. They are going to make us feel it here at home. Do you know why? Because then we're going to pressure our government to stop. And do you know who else kind of did something similar recently? Although to the not to the same extent, and I don't think it was truly like an organized doctrine, was the Taliban. They used that kind of guerrilla warfare, right? Even in cases where they knew they were going to die, they would destroy as much equipment as they possibly could, right? They would make it as expensive as they possibly could. And that's what I'm saying. That's why you can't win, largely due to the ideological commitment. You can't win in the Middle East. It's unwinnable. Unwinnable. And I can't believe you, as an American citizen, are sitting up here and telling me you'd be willing to commit boots on the ground to another senseless war in the Middle East. Dude, we just left Afghanistan. We were there for 20 fucking years.
Okay. Well, I don't want to mess up your point. Can I respond? Okay. First, I don't like getting into terminologies or like phrasal idioms where you're declaring one side to be using part of a Nazi like war book or something. Because if you can make that point, you can make that all like Buddhist.
It has to do with an ideology. Guy, I'm simply making the comparison because there's an ideological commitment. What's wrong with making that point?
I understand. Juxtaposition in both of those things. I don't think there's any. Yeah, I mean, you can find relativity in everything. Like Buddhism and Jainism, they still use a swastika. That's where it originated 6,000 years.
Guy,
ago.
I'm not comparing them to Nazis. What don't you understand? I said just in terms of their ideological commitment, meaning they're willing to die for the ideology.
Okay, but there's other, war instances that you could use other than using the Nazis or using Hitler.
Why does that bother you so much? I don't get it. It's just simply because the SS had loyalty to Hitler, and even if Hitler died, they were instructed to fight until you die. That's just what I'm saying. It's similar in the sense that, and this is largely what lost us the war in Afghanistan, dude, was not understanding the ideological commitment. Do you know that, like, our government could not understand how these people would walk into buildings with, like, suicide vests? They couldn't get past the idea that people would be willing.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yes.
You're not saying America. You're saying the other people. They're so committed to their cause.
Correct.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I understand that. Okay, that's why I couldn't understand why you were comparing if it was America.
No,
I totally
wasn't
see
comparing
your point, and that makes sense.
No.
Oh, okay. No, I totally see your point. So only the reason why I'm committed, if boots were to go on the ground, first of all, I can't placate or act as if I know every strategic way that the military runs. I don't. What I do know is that they're destroying evil. Ayatollah, he killed over 30,000 people. And you're just talking about the people, his people, who were out there protesting. They didn't like the regime. It seemed like in the United States, we love to take this so-called moral stance. We don't want to fight other people's battles, but we want to protest everybody else's battles. The people in Iran, I don't know if you know people from any Arab or Muslim countries. I do. speak to
I
them.
do. I'm very
and
good friends
they're
with people
extremely
from Muslim countries. But
okay.
yes.
Okay, well, if indeed you're truthful and you know them, then you know that they are very, very happy. They're very, very happy with what has taken place. You just see in Washington D.C. you have a large Iranian population, waving the American flag. They're in front of them. They're in front of them demonstrating that we are happy with what President Trump did. It is a good thing to get rid of a vicious, violent dictator, and all of them are cheering. So how come, if you look at the most people that are protesting against this war, for the most part, the people are American. They're not Iranian. They're not from that region, to where they have seen the violence and just the destruction that was caused by this regime. It seems like the main people speaking out against it is fellow Americans. So that's why I'm committed to the cause for them to completely destroy evil, no matter where it comes from. I don't care, long as evil is destroyed across the world, because there's something called sleeper cells that are here, that have been let in through the country through lax immigration laws. And, at any given moment, we just saw in Texas, one of the cells activate, killed 2 people, injured 14, coming out of a bar 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and just opened fire, had Allah is power written on his sweatshirt. And so you can't just sit back and think, everything is fine and peaceful. Them attacking Israel, they're going to come to our shores. They're already here.
All right,
and I think they're going to attack us.
All right, let me address this.
Yeah.
First of all, let me address this guy, High Watt, in the chat. You don't know what you're talking about. So, for instance, like Islamic governance is referred to as an Islamic republic or Islamic states. You can refer to a country as a Muslim country. They're commonly referred to as Muslim countries in UN discussions, right? Or lists of OIC members like Pakistan. So don't tell me that you don't use the term Muslim country. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. There are Muslim majority countries, and that's what the guy was asking me. Muslim majority countries. Islamic Republic is different than a Muslim majority country. You don't know what you're talking about. So stop embarrassing yourself in the chat and acting like you're a fucking intellectual. All right? Call in when this guy's done, and I'll fucking school you. But let me just address this. What you're leaning on is that the Iranian people are happy. I'm not opposed to admit. I'm not refusing to admit that the Iranian government is oppressive. They absolutely are oppressive. They absolutely do commit atrocities and human rights violations against their own people. That's not my argument. Right. Mm-hmm. Two things can be true at the same time. The Iranian government can be oppressive. The regime can be oppressive, and it cannot be our problem. And it's funny that Republicans claim that Ukraine's not our problem and we need to stop supporting Ukraine, even though there are real implications there with NATO considering Poland borders Ukraine. And ultimately, if Poland was attacked, we are contractually obligated to then engage in war. There are agreements in place like the Budapest Memorandum that make that a much different circumstance. And you guys dismiss that as, well, not our problem, right? So now you're going to sell me that. Now you're going to sell me that it's our problem because the people of Iran are oppressed. Yes, they are oppressed. They absolutely are oppressed. But they absolutely are oppressed in Iran. But
no. I'm saying that's not why, because they're oppressed. I'm saying you tell me how many terrorist attacks were committed from either Russia or Ukraine in the U.S. When they say it's not our problem, they're not chanting death to America in the streets. They're not bragging about there being sleeper cells in our country from Russia or from Ukraine, and them able to activate it and to kill. You tell me how many times has a sleeper cell from Russia or from...
Let's be super clear about something. Number one, Russia's dictator, Vladimir Putin, just threatened the United States 2 days ago and said, we will launch nuclear weapons at the United States and our NATO allies. So let's be super clear. Russia is a nuclear superpower. Iran is not a nuclear superpower. So if you're arguing that Iran has a potential, a greater negative implication, you are way off base. They don't even have missiles that can reach the United States. They can only reach as far as Europe. They can't even touch us. And Bibi Netanyahu has been perpetuating the idea that they have weapons-grade enriched uranium for the last 30 years. Furthermore, we conducted an attack just months ago that was supposed to obliterate their enrichment facilities, meaning they didn't have those capabilities any longer. Furthermore, Obama had an agreement in place that Trump tore up and said that he could create a better agreement through his negotiating skills, in which he didn't, and has continuously used military action. You aren't going to win an argument by claiming there are isolated acts of terrorism committed by Islamic extremists, and that's equivalent to the dangers of a nuclear-armed superpower in Russia. We're talking about a country that threatens us on a regular basis with these deployment capabilities. They're not the same, not even close. And just to mention that event you talked about where that guy did that, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't buy that. I mean, like, okay, so the FBI says that he was an Islamic extremist that had a shirt that said "Property of Allah," and then underneath had a T-shirt that had the Iranian flag. The people who attacked the Twin Towers were from where? Do you know? They were Saudis. Tell me when an Iranian attacked the United States. I mean, come on, man. This is stupid. You're claiming that the Iran is a greater threat to the United States because of Islamic extremist attacks. Are you out of your fucking tree?
Islamic. There we go. Islamic. I'm not claiming any regions particularly attacked. I clearly gave the example.
Jamie, thank you, Jamie and Andy.
I gave an example of the shooter from Texas. He was, he became radicalized and therefore attacked. I'm like, he wasn't Iranian. I didn't call him Iranian. I'm saying the ideology, and besides even them,
I'm pretty sure he was from Nigeria.
To America.
I'm pretty sure he was from Nigeria.
I never said region. I said region. I said ideology.
So should we attack all Muslim majority countries because of Islamic extremism? That would be like saying we need to attack all Christian countries because of the Crusades.
That makes no sense. When did the Crusades happen? You tell me a Christian group that is beheading people today.
Sure. So the largest, no problem. The largest domestic terrorist attack ever on U.S. soil was committed by a Christian extremist in Timothy McVeigh. He was a Christian nationalist extremist. Did you know that? That's the largest act of domestic terrorism the Bible tells you not in this murder. Fucking country. And you're going to fucking compare the two?
In the Sharia law, they tell you to murder. What are you talking about? Do you know your hadith?
Yeah, I do know.
Do you know any type of? Do you know?
I do know. I'm familiar with Sharia law.
Do you know any type of Arabic?
Sharia law is not a governing principle. Sharia law is not a governing principle in the United States.
Okay, in the hadith, in the surah, because you just said you know Arabic text, right?
No, I said I'm familiar with Sharia law.
You're familiar. Are you familiar or do you know? We're not talking about Sharia law. We're talking about their text.
Wait. So so now you're targeting the Quran instead of targeting a country's responsibility.
Okay.
So this guy's literally so desperate. So hold on, bro. You're trying to target a someone's religion now. We've moved on to someone's religion. So are you using religion as a justification for this attack, sir?
Okay, so like I said, and you're not going to get away from your statement. You just said Timothy McVeigh was the largest Christian, whatever you just said. First of all, in our Bible, and King James Version, I'm going to go with the King James Version, it says murder is wrong. In the first 10 commandments, murder is wrong. So what he did was wrong. You're not Christian. It's like a doctor here in Florida got arrested for performing medical care without a doctorate, without a license. Do you say, oh, no, he was a doctor, he was performing care? No, you will not. You will separate the two and say he didn't have a medical license, therefore he wasn't a doctor.
Oh, yeah. Can you read for me?
They can't be a Christian.
So can you read for me? What is Exodus 21:12?
Okay, you're going to the Old Testament.
What is Exodus
Awesome.
21:12? What is Leviticus 21:10 or 20:10? One of those two.
Okay. No one follows that. These are
it absolutely condones death. It literally says you should die if you cheat on your wife. Is that murder?
Show me in the
if
New
someone
Testament.
Show
me in the New Testament where somebody is doing
2010.
that. Who practices that?
Okay, so Matthew
Who
26.
practices that today?
So
I'm not a Jew.
It doesn't
That's under
matter.
Judaism. I'm not a Jew.
Matthew
I'm a Gentile.
26:52.
Okay, Matthew 26 is going to tell us to kill people. I'm finding it. Hold on. Matthew 26 is going to tell us to kill people. I love it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
what is Matthew? I think it's 25:52 or 26:52.
Matthew's 26:22.
No,
26:52. And they were exceeding sorrowful and
Why are
began
you
everyone.
reading I said 26:52. It's either 25:52 or
Okay,
26:52.
Matthew 26:52.
Yeah, 26:52. I think
Matthew 26:52. I'm just going by what you're telling me.
Well, I got it
Okay.
wrong the first
So,
time. I think it's 26:52.
No. It's fine. Okay, I'm not trying to hold you on that. I apologize.
I believe it's 20.
And I hope
what
this
is
isn't the
20
scripture where Jesus is telling Peter to put his sword away.
Yeah.
I
So
hope this
what does
isn't
that
the one
mean?
where Jesus is telling somebody who did a violent act and he told him to put his sword away. But let me
Yes.
find it.
Wait.
Okay, 52.
All who take
put your
the
sword back
sword-
in its place. Jesus said to him, "For all who draw the sword will die by
There you
the
go.
sword."
There you
Okay, so Jesus Christ, which Christianity stems from, is telling somebody who just did a violent act, you're proving Christianity to be right.
If
I love
someone
you, brother, and
murders
I
someone,
appreciate
it's still
that.
murder.
Thank you.
If someone murders someone,
I
you
love
murder
it.
them, it's still murder.
Yeah. Murder, and the act outside of war. Jesus said, what did he say?
Wait,
Exodus
the act
15,
of
you know your
murder is
Bible.
what? Outside
I
of war?
am a
If
God of
someone,
war, right?
all who take the sword will perish by the sword.
Outside of war.
All who take the sword
Okay,
will perish
outside
by the
of
sword.
war.
You
Jesus
said they
is talking
don't
about-
condone
Okay,
murder.
first,
It's divinely sanctioned
So do you-
killings in specific contexts.
So you're a
So
Christian?
it doesn't matter. No, I was
You're an
a
apologist?
Catholic. No, I was a Catholic.
Okay, so if you don't, how can you interpret scripture to a Christian? You're not a Christian.
Wait, I went to
How are
Catholic.
you interpreting
So first
scripture
of
to
all,
me?
I went to Catholic.
Oh, you went to Catholic school. Here we go.
I
You went
did.
to Catholic. You're not a Christian.
I went to Catholic
You
school.
can't interpret scripture to me.
I
I'm
just
telling
did.
you what it means
I just
as
did.
an apologist.
You just claim they don't condone murder.
Okay.
And Matthew 26:52 literally
you
says,
are not a Christian.
all who take the sword will perish by the sword. If listen, if
You do
someone
not-
murders someone
okay.
and you murder them,
You do
is
not
that
have
still murder?
contextual meaning.
If someone murders someone
You do
and
not
then
have
you murder
contextual
them,
meaning.
is that still murder? If someone murders someone and then you
If
murder
I am
them, is that
protect-
murder?
Okay.
If someone
if I am protecting myself,
murders
somebody
someone,
is trying to kill me
if
and I
someone-
kill them.
No, that's not
It's
what
not
it says.
murder, it's self-defense.
That's not- Okay, and if someone
It's not
murders,
murder, it's self-defense.
well, is that how the law interprets it, sir?
self-defense.
Is that how the law interprets
It's
it?
self-defense. You don't believe
That's
in the
not
word of
how
God.
the
How are you
law
trying to
interprets
interpret
it.
the Bible to a Christian?
Sir, if someone
How do
murders
you
someone in
interpret
your
the Bible
family
to
and
a
you
Christian? You're a
murder them,
non-Christian.
oh my God!
So you're not an atheist?
Wait. So didn't you just
Are you an
dismiss?
atheist?
Didn't you just no? I'm agnostic.
I'm asking you a question.
No,
Are
I'm
you an
agnostic.
atheist?
No, I'm agnostic.
You're agnostic, so you don't believe in God and you do believe in God all in the same
That's
breath.
not what agnostic is. That's not what agnostic is.
Oh, what's agnostic?
you have a
Please break it down to me.
I don't know. That's
Break it
exactly
down
what
to
it
me.
is. I don't have
You
proof
don't know
one
what
way
you-
or another.
Here we go. You don't know.
Agnostic.
You cannot espouse to anything. So how would you? How
that
would you
doesn't mean
espousing
wait. You're
textual-
just triggered because I quoted scripture that proved that what
No
you just
such
said
word
is
has
wrong.
triggered.
Hold on a second. Does the Bible
such word
condone?
has-
Hold on. What else does the Bible condone? Does the Bible condone things that are considered morally wrong?
You tell me who's practicing. You use Leviticus and Exodus. What Jew is practicing those things from those
Wait,
scriptures?
why are
They
you
in
talking
if you read
about
the,
Jews?
If you read the Quran, they tell you to go out there and to kill the infidels. Do you know what an infidel is?
Hold on. Why are you? Yeah. So what? Wait. Hold on. Are you?
So you know what an infidel is?
Yeah. So are you?
It tells you in the scripture to kill the infidels. It doesn't tell you that in the New Testament. It's not telling you to go out there and to kill anybody. It doesn't.
And if you're so, should we attack every Muslim country then? Every Muslim majority
I'm
country?
not saying that. I'm not being unreasonable.
Yes, the fuck
I'm
you
not
are.
saying that.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
You're
I'm not saying it's
Islamophobic as
if
fuck.
they are saying, how am I scared of Islam? Do you know what a phobia
You're
is?
literally
That word doesn't even make sense. How am I
arguing we should
scared?
be fearful of Sharia law, which isn't even a governing principle. Give me one example of Sharia law.
How am I scared?
Give me one example of Sharia law as a governing principle in the United States.
I don't understand your question.
Give me one example where Sharia law is a governing principle within the borders of our country. If Sharia law is not a governing principle, then why are you concerned with it? It's not our problem.
They are governed by Sharia law. They have committed terrorist attacks that they believe they would get 50 virgins and a beautiful white heaven. If they go out and they commit, do you know the word for what they use when they kill a Christian? What do they get?
I don't know. Who cares? It's not relevant. They don't. You're talking about within the borders of the United States. Hold on. You're saying within the borders of the United States, we have to go. Our country should feel a responsibility for attacking Iran because the dangers of Islam. And I'm asking you, well, is Sharia
Islamic extremists?
And again, I ask you, the largest terrorist attack committed by a domestic terrorist was a Christian. Was a Christian.
That's a lie.
Wait, Timothy McVeigh wasn't a Christian?
No, he wasn't. If you murder, we just established this, right? When you gave me Matthew to look up, and Jesus told him to put away his sword.
When you commit the murder, you're no longer a Christian. Listen, I don't care. He was a Christian nationalist.
If you commit a sin, you're not a Christian.
He was a Christian nationalist. I don't care what you think or don't think, but the point is.
Okay, so you just lied. The largest terrorist attack in America was September 11, 2001, on the United States that caused nearly 3,000 fatalities. So you tell me how Timothy McVeigh how Timothy McVeigh killed 3,000 people. Explain for me and your crowd. Everybody listen up. I want everybody to pay attention. Go ahead.
I think you're not understanding my argument. I said by a domestic terrorist. Those aren't domestic terrorists, you chud.
Okay.
Those are Saudis.
Okay, you want to change to the message. So it wasn't the largest in the United States.
I didn't change. I literally said domestic terrorist. Like I don't know what else to tell you. Do you know what domestic means?
Yeah, it means here at home. So once again, you lied once again.
Are you going to talk over me? Are you going to talk over me again? Are you going to talk over me again? So here, guys, he's getting schooled, right? He's getting schooled in this argument. So now he's trying to pivot to Islamic extremists, right, are dangerous because of the acts of terrorism that is committed by Islamic extremists. Can you tell me the Iranian that committed a terrorist attack in the United States? What's their name?
Okay, let me get you on the lie. You told the Oklahoma City bombing on April 19th, 1995 is a deadly attack of domestic terrorism in the U.S.
Timothy,
listen, I'm
tell me
agreeing
right
with
now.
you.
No, why don't you tell me? What about Iran? How is this relevant to Iran? Can you tell me the Iranian that committed the grand act of terrorism you're talking about that justifies spending years?
I'm agreeing with you with Timothy McVeigh. I'm reading for you. Okay.
I don't need
I'm not saying
you
an
to
Iranian
agree with me. I already
it.
know I'm correct. So I'm asking you.
Okay.
This
I
conversation
never said an Iranian.
Iran. Iran is not a country, and that's not how you pronounce it anywhere across the globe. It's Iran.
Iran. You're getting into the colloquial meaning. You're getting into the colloquial meanings of words.
Well, you want to get fresh? I can definitely turn up the volume on you, Muppet.
Iran. Okay. So Iran. How do you say it? I want you to tell me how you say it.
Iran is how you say it. Iran.
How do I say it?
Iran, like I ran down the street. It's Iran. So again, how does this justify?
Okay, so you're a linguist. Okay,
again,
so I'm happy you're a linguist.
Listen, you
right?
want to keep pivoting. I'm perfectly fine with you pivoting. I'm asking you a legitimate question. How does any of this justify the military action happening in Iran?
Because they have Islamic terrorists who Iran, right? I didn't say Iran. A lot of people say it like that, but you're a linguist, so we all have to abide by your. rules.
Because they're dumb.
Okay.
Don't be
we
dumb.
all have to abide
Are you
by your rules.
unwilling to accept knowledge, sir? I thought you better than that. You know what the biggest sign of
what knowledge?
Hold on. Let me explain this. You know what
Are there
hold
Islamic
on.
terrorists
Let me explain this to you. Do you know what the greatest
Iran?
sign? Do you know what warns me that someone is an imbecile? Is that they're not willing to accept knowledge, truth. I'm just simply educating you. This is how we
Give me the etymology of the word imbecile.
You know what smart people say?
Give me the etymology of the word imbecile.
Do you know what smart people say?
You're
They
a linguist.
Okay. Are you going to stop talking?
Can you tell me? I don't know what imbecile means.
Can you please stop talking and let me finish?
Okay.
Smart people simply say, okay, I didn't know it was pronounced Iran. You made a claim.
I just said that.
Stop talking.
Okay.
You made a claim that attacking Iran is justified because of Islamic extremism. You've yet to cite an example of an Iranian committing an act of terrorism in the United States of Islamic extremism. You brought up a guy from Nigeria, wasn't even from Iran. You've yet to justify...
So why did he commit the act then? If he's not from Iran, why would he commit the act?
Well, you really want to get into it?
Double entendre.
I mean, we can get into it. I mean, if you really want to get into it,
double entendre.
I mean, do you believe it?
Yeah,
I mean,
double entendre. Why would he commit the act? He's not from Iran.
I don't believe it to start with.
He's not from Iran, so why would he commit that act?
Well, I don't believe it to start with. I don't believe it to start with, if you want to know the truth. I think it's bullshit.
So people
to start
dying, you
with.
don't believe. Got it.
Yeah, I don't believe it. I think it's a crock of shit.
You go to conspiracy when you're found out, just like you try to try my intelligence. Your intelligence is being tried.
Where was he from? Where was he from?
You're now going to conspiracy.
Where was he from?
Right?
Where was he from? Where was he from?
He wasn't from Iran. And he committed the act.
Where was
he wasn't from Iran.
Where was he from?
He wasn't from Iran. I just said that, but yet he committed the act.
He was from Nigeria.
On behalf of Iran.
Wait,
yeah, he committed the act on behalf of Iran.
On behalf of Iran, it could just simply be because the United States government commits atrocities around the globe. Can you justify for me?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Can you justify for me extensive? Sir, I literally asked you the question because I already got you to commit to it. You don't even realize you've lost because you're so arrogant. I
know. It's opinionated confab. There is no winner or loser.
You know you're outmatched.
Opinionated confab.
You know you're
no winners or losers.
You've met your match, my friend. Listen, you literally
there is no match.
You literally
it's not a challenge.
I asked you a question.
If you really want a match, let's go to the Lincoln Douglas form of debate. We're switching to the Lincoln Douglas form of debate.
You don't actually believe you can
answer the name. You already know how it works. So let's go. If you really want to have a debate.
Hold on. You don't actually believe you could intellectually match with me, right?
I'm asking you if you really want to debate.
God, can you explain
cite a premise, worldview, and then we'll debate.
Okay, perfect. Ready?
Let's begin.
Sure. How many senators are there?
But that's not how the Lincoln Douglas form.
You don't know eighth grade civics.
You're a learned person.
You don't know eighth grade civics. You're not on my level, so it's not
listen.
even worth.
I said the
Can
Lincoln
you please
Douglas form
stop
of debate.
talking and just answer my question? I'm simply asking for you. I got you to commit that boots on the ground, right, was the justified measure. You said you would justify boots on the ground if it was necessary. Yes, I'd justify boots on the ground. You committed to that. Now I want you to tell me, why is that justified? Make your argument. Don't feed me extremism because you can't cite a single example. And don't blame Islam as a whole because I don't want to get into a religious philosophical debate with you. I'm talking about Iran specific. Why is it justified to have a full-scale war with Iran?
Okay. So I said, Lincoln, is this your first affirmative constructive?
Answer the question.
I'm asking you, is this your 1AC?
So guys,
I can attack it. We're doing Lincoln Douglas form of debate.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So this is your well, obviously, I don't know if you ever was on the NFL, the National Forensic League, and you know how debate is structured. Obviously, this being your opening statement,
I've been debating for 20 fucking years. Can you
then I'm asking you for your first affirmative.
Do you want me to hang up on you?
So I can do my cross-examination.
Answer the question. Answer the question, Muppet.
I am. What's the question?
Now he wants to answer the question. This guy really thinks that he could. Oh my God. So anyway, I'm asking you a question. You said I'd be willing to commit boots on the ground in Iran. Justify boots on the ground in Iran. Justify it.
Justify it? Well, I can't morally justify something that you're against.
I didn't say
morally. That's not my point.
I didn't say morally.
Personally, I believe morally, okay, strategically, I cannot justify it to
Fiscally.
you because you do not agree with it. I will agree with it. I will agree with it because I think you need to totally, as Clinton said, obliterate the regime in which is oppressive, and that is dangerous just not to Israel, just not to the U.S., but to all of the surrounding countries. They were bombing Dubai. They were bombing countries that had nothing to do with this war. Obviously, they are a loose cannon. They need to be stopped. My justification for them putting boots on the ground is if it helps in a campaign to totally destroy and annihilate that regime, I'm all for it. Whatever it takes to annihilate them, I'm for it. So what is your opinion on the answer that I gave?
Iran was not bombing Dubai prior to the airstrikes by the United States
government. I didn't say
That's
prior. I never made that. That's a straw man.
You're arguing against their retaliatory strikes. They're literally
against the. I'm sorry.
Yeah, why against the? Do you know why?
I mean, they have anger or issues or took umbrage to Dubai or these other countries supplying or giving the U.S. and Israel airspace. Or I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I don't know. They bombed a lot of countries in their region. I can't specifically say why. I do not know. I don't have the mind of a terrorist. I don't know. I don't know why they bombed these other places. I can't tell. The media puts out,
it's
little
retaliation
reasons and stuff, but I don't know.
It's retaliation for the UAE hosting U.S. and Israeli air assets that they used to launch the operation that killed their supreme leader. I'm not defending them, but it is a retaliatory strike. It is not. They're not
retaliatory against what?
Against the fact that they hosted U.S. and Israeli air assets for Operation Epic Fury. You know that, right?
Okay.
Because you do understand also it violates neutrality pledges for the UAE. Do you know what UN Do you know what UN Article 51 is?
No. Explain it to me and your audience.
No, I was wondering, what is UN Article 51? Do you know anything about legitimate self-defense? The U.S. bombs killed.
I do, but I want you to explain it. I'm learning.
Sure. So the U.S. bombs killed 160 plus at that school. They degraded, I think, somewhere around 60 to 70% of missile production. Right? Do you agree with that?
Okay.
So these are.
Do I agree with what?
It's self-defense. It's self-defense. It's not civilian targeting, right? It's simply self-defense. They are retaliating against enablers that allowed for the strikes on their country. You're trying to.
So they're not targeting civilians?
No. It's not civilian targeted. Most projectiles that were fired.
It's not civilian targeted. Are you gonna hold firm?
Most projectiles in Dubai were intercepted anyway. They have a very advanced anti-defense missiles. They have a very
most famous hotels in Dubai that didn't have.
Yeah, because it's the most famous structure. What I'm saying to you is it's not civilian targeted. And by the way, most of the projectiles were intercepted.
Okay, so that didn't have civilians.
It doesn't matter if it had civilians or not. It's not civilian.
Okay, a luxury tourist hotspot.
Guy, I don't know if you understand this or not.
Spot.
I don't know if you understand this or not, right? But they're retaliating against an aggression chain, right? The United States and Israel struck and killed. Right? How many children was it? 160 plus at a girls' school. So don't tell me about a Dubai hotel, okay? The United States and Israel killed 160.
What's your source?
Does 160 plus little girls bother you at all?
What is your source? Okay, I understand that. What is your source?
What is my source? Al
I'm asking
Jazeera.
to read it.
Al Jazeera, BBC.
Oh, yeah.
Al
the
Jazeera,
most
BBC.
leftist website. Anything else? Anything else?
BBC is leftist? What about NPR?
No, yeah, BP, all of those are leftist. Every last single
So
one of
give me
those. If you go look at
give me 3 reliable neutral sources. Go.
I would give you talking about the war, just specifically about the war. I would give you Business Insider, and I'm trying to get the most centrist news outlets that they are. Most of them are all leftist, but the ones who I think is a little bit more centered, Epic Times is a very good source. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just asking you for a source so I can read it. If you say something, I don't want you to think that I'm denigrating your point. I want to look it up for myself.
What about the New York Times?
That's
What
all I'm
about
doing.
Al Jazeera? You don't trust Al Jazeera?
Every last single one of those are left leaning. Every last single one of those. It's hard.
God. There's literally
it's hard to find stuff that is
There's
just censored.
literally videos of Iranian civilians holding dead girls in their hand.
Oh yeah, I know. And a lot of times they've been in trouble. You know, not saying it's always the case.
Justify this.
For holding props.
Prove who you are to my audience right now. Go ahead, justify it. Go ahead.
I'm not justifying. I asked you for a source.
I gave
you gave
5.
me all left-leaning sources.
NPR
you gave me all left-leaning sources.
NPR is not left-leaning.
Okay, let's Google it.
BBC is not left-leaning.
They were just sued by Donald Trump. They lost the case for defamation.
Is Al Jazeera left-leaning?
Extremely. They didn't report that Ayatollah was dead.
Oh God.
They said, they're lying. The Ayatollah is not dead.
What about PBS?
What about what?
What about PBS?
Every last single one of those sources that you're listening.
Here's the thing, because it's getting late. Here's the thing, it's getting late. It's getting late. I've been on the phone with you for an hour. I want to say this. First of all, PBS.
And I appreciate it. You're a very learned guy.
Real quick, is PBS biased?
Yeah. I would say every last single one. If you look it up, all you got to do is if you Google. I don't think that's that's not a scholastic.
PBS?
It's not a scholarly source.
PBS.
PBS. Okay, let's just Google. I'll Google it. I don't know. I think they're left leaning. It's PBS left leaning.
Yeah, and then tell me the source.
And it says people there of the left. Conservative is generally seen centrist. Okay, PBS News is generally seen as a centrist or slightly left-leaning.
He dunked on himself.
Well, it just said but that's what they
W's
said.
In the chat. W's. I want to see a shitload of W's right now. I want to see a shitload of W's right now. Centrist.
It's not a scholarly source.
I want to see a shitload of W's.
You can't interrupt me.
Guys, we need a shitload of W's right now. It literally the first
if
word he read
w,
was
I'll give
centrist. W's. I want W's to flood this chat right now. Flood this chat with W's. He literally walked face first into. Listen.
It says left leaning. How did I walk face first? It says left leaning.
What does it say before that?
It said left leaning.
No, it doesn't. It says centrist.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's not a scholarly source. It's not a Pew.
It's not a
centrist. It's not a Pew Research Center.
It says
it's not a Pew Research Center.
Okay, listen,
where they get a sample size.
Listen, let's be honest. You
and then they
care
ask
either way.
people, "Hey, is this left leaning?"
Let's be honest. You're not going to care either way if it is or not. You don't care that 150.
But I do care because I care if you're right. If you're right, then I can say,
no.
Hey,
but would you?
My man,
I don't care
right.
about you caring if I'm right. Razor, thank you for the $2 super chat, buddy. Appreciate you. Would you care that? Hold on. Would you care that 150 schoolgirls are killed? I don't care if you care if I'm right.
I would. I would definitely care if it's
well,
true.
Guess what? They're dead.
I would definitely care.
Well, they're dead. So I asked you one more
well, that's
time.
what you say. I asked you for evidence of it. You gave me all left-leaning sources.
More time. I know Al Jazeera, PBS, BBC, NPR.
All left-leaning. I said left-leaning. I said left-leaning.
Okay. So can you give me your reasoning as to why it's justified or not?
What is justified? With them putting boots on the ground or what?
The war in general. By the way, Reuters, do you consider them left-leaning?
Okay.
I just looked it up. Reuters qualified as a centrist source by all sides media bias fact check.
Hold on.
Scholarly source. Reuters literally was rated center by all sides media bias fact check for neutral fact-based reporting, and they reported that this happened. So you can deny this till the cows come home. Can you give me a justification for why the war in Iran is justified, or are you going to keep running from the question? I know this has been rough for you.
Okay. Well, like I said, all of the sources that you listed are left-leaning. I clearly read left-leaning when I read about PBS's.
And what did you say before that? Centrist. You said centrist, slightly left-leaning. Lees, thank you so much, Lees.
Opinionated confab. That's all it is. It's all opinions at the end of the day. I cannot take a chance of truth, capital T, on any issue, and neither can you. You can sit here and try to sound so, with your loquacious speech and your bombastic attitude, but at the end of the day, it's an opinion. I'm giving you my opinion. If your audience really think they can gather some type of capital truth from you, they're mistaken. Just as anybody in this world, they can gather any capital truth from you or me or anybody else. You, my friend, or a podcaster. There is no so-called dominance of truth because you have any type of intellect over me or anybody in your audience. And the truth of the matter is the world needs to recognize that. They put these people on pedestals and they think that they can get all of the truth and information from. This is an opinion, my friend. There is no right or wrong. I believe the war in Iran is justified. You don't believe the war in Iran is justified. And that's where we leave it.
All right.
There's no win or lose.
All right. Listen,
but
I hope to debate you
are
again.
extremely respectful. I know you are extremely respectful, and I hope people tune into your channel because it is an absolute amazing. It's amazing to actually debate people who you're very smart and you have a lot of knowledge, and this is good. It helps with the community as America. So I wish you all the luck on your channel, and
all right, take care, man. Take care.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right, be
you
well.
too.
Bye. Guys, I have to go to the bathroom like really bad, so give me 1 second. Kosher Dill, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Appreciate you. Thank you to that guy for calling in and debating. I very badly have to go to the bathroom, though, so you got to hold on a second. If you guys have enjoyed the live so far tonight, I would appreciate contributing to the gifting goal. Well, most Trump supporters are. He's just a hardcore Trump supporter, man. Most of them hold that same position. I wasn't surprised by anything he said. I mean, almost every position he held was, MAGA, pretty much across the board. Christian, MAGA, so... I'm good, Izzy. I'm all right. Just hanging out, debating. Just debating, hanging out. What are you bringing up, possum litter? No, I'm not. I don't do either of those things. Don't even bring up that Dookie silverware thing. Dude, it's crazy to me. I think the thing that gets me the most with Trump supporters is they're just and I think with that guy was kind of the same thing. Carly, thank you so much. I appreciate you too. And thank you to everybody contributing to the gifting goal. Guys, the gifting goal is over, but if we get 3 more super chats, it's kind of like we completed it, so I would appreciate it. The thing that gets me with Trump supporters is just they would support anything he did. So, like, I asked that guy specific, and I got to be honest, I was kind of surprised by his response, because, like, even that is crazy. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But I said, boots on the ground. Do you support boots on the ground? And he said, yes, I would support that. I said this earlier today, and I'll say it again. If Donald Trump said, I'm going to withdraw $1,000 from every American's account because we need it to pay for this war, if liberals or leftists or Democrats were mad about it, Trump supporters would support it, because largely for them, it's about owning the libs. Now, this guy was a little bit different. I'm telling you, his argument leaned very much on his religious ideology, his religious beliefs. He was a Christian, and I believe he was Islamophobic, and he really wasn't. Again, that's a scary take, man. But it's not uncommon among Christian nationalists, and that's what he was. He's a Christian nationalist for sure. But I think, like, one of the things he got stuck on was that I made the comparison of the Third Reich and being I'm talking about the SS in particular, by the way, ideologically committed to their leader and willing to die for their cause. And he, like, couldn't believe I made that comparison. I'm simply saying that, and again, this was the case in Iraq and Afghanistan as well. They were committed to their leader or committed to their belief system, and they were willing to die for it. And that's largely what our government couldn't understand, right? And it's part of the reason why we lost. Yes. No, Iran. So that was the earlier guy that tried. You talking about the guy that tried to make the argument about Persia, which is modern Iran, obviously was not a Muslim country before the Ayatollah, is stupid, because they were predominantly Muslim for over 1,300 years prior. You know what I mean? And so that guy was just wrong on that, but that was the other guy. Kosher, thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate it. People who have never been to war sport, boots on the ground. They get to live out their fantasy crusade through other people's lives. Kosher, I'm telling you, man, it is sick. It is sick, bro. It is sick. You know, I was talking to one of my friends who's a veteran of Afghanistan, and he was telling me we lost like nobody in months. The fact that they've lost 6 people already is evidence that it's been a failure. I'm not a veteran. I'm not someone who served in the military, but I've been studying politics for a long time, and my entire adult life we've been at war with been at war in the Middle East. And I've had many friends serve in the Middle East. I actually had people I went to high school with that lost their life in the Middle East. Not super close with them, but people I went to high school with. So, like, I'm just tired of it. I'm done. I'm tired. I care about my fellow Americans. I care about you guys. I want you to be able to have health care. I want you to be able to have comfortable lives. And I'm tired of giving our money to Israel so they can maintain their dominance in the Middle East. I'm tired of this fucking Zionist connection we have with Israel that keeps, costing you money and killing you. I'm done with it. I'm tired. I'm just tired. I'm tired of it. And honestly, I hope to get into elected politics at some point, and I will 10 toes down not accept AIPAC money, and 10 toes down will speak out against Israel and say we are done in the Middle East. And that will be my stance. That will be my stance. I would love to serve in Congress one day. We'll see what happens. It's probably a pipe dream, but you never know. I'll probably take a shot at it at some point. And I 10 toes down, you guys will see, will not change that position whatsoever. I will tell you guys how deep it runs. There are influencers that I know on social media that take money from AIPAC-supported organizations. There are people who this is why I tell people, be very careful who you follow who's a political commentator. Because they too, some of them, are paid. What to look for. They all advertise the same products. That's a big tell. They all advertise the exact same products. Those that are paid by either the DNC or APAC, they advertise the same products. They all say the same things. The narrative is the exact same. They all have lukewarm takes. I don't care if the DNC came to me tomorrow. I'm not even talking about APAC. I'm just talking about the DNC. One of these organizations supported by the DNC came to me tomorrow and said, Adam, we'll give you $100,000 if you start doing this, and I would say no. Because I never in a million years will support these groups. Yeah, there's dark money in politics. You guys you're not that naive, right? You know there's dark money among social media commentators, right? I'm not revealing anything to you, am I? You guys know this already. This was already exposed. I'm not exposing this. This was already exposed. So the consulate in Dubai, CIA station in Saudi Arabia, and U.S. base in Qatar all hit right now. America sent out, the United States government sent out another warning. Leave the region now. So tensions are escalating in this war, everybody, and that's what it is. It's a war. Tensions are escalating. Tensions are escalating. I'll repeat that one more time. Consulate in Dubai, CIA station in Saudi Arabia, and the U.S. base in Qatar. The United States government has sent out another notification. Leave the region now. The Israeli military says it intercepted rockets launched from Lebanon. The Israeli military says it intercepted rockets launched from Lebanon. The Israeli military has also ordered further evacuations in southern Lebanon. So that's where we are, folks. So true, Adam, learning that the hard way. I lost my best friend to the evils that be. It happens, but yeah, that's been exposed. So all I can ever promise you guys is I am only supported by you guys, and I will never betray you. And no matter how big I get in the future, or how many people follow me, or how many people anything, I will continue to do what we're doing here. I will never abandon the live streams, and I will never accept money from any organizations to feed you lies. Under no circumstances, I would rather die first. And you may think, yeah, he would. I can't force you to believe it, but all I can say is you can trust me. I will never in a million years betray you, ever will betray you. So I would appreciate the support. I only make money off your support. The traveling to different states, all the things that I do that strictly from your support. And I don't get guys, I don't get Dean Withers level support. Okay? I don't get that kind of support. I get a lot of support, but I don't get Dean Withers style support. I'm not making fucking $1 million a year. Right? I make a regular person's income, and I give a lot of it away. I gave thousands of dollars in Minnesota. I raised money. I did all sorts of shit, bought shit for people. I gave shitload, probably too much for my own good. But that's what I think this is supposed to be about, and that's the way that I look at life. And I don't look at life as, can I fatten my pockets as much as I can? So know that anytime you support me, I use that money to try and make a difference. So I appreciate you guys. So I really appreciate and love you guys and appreciate your support. And I hope you guys have a great night. I'm going to go play some Resident Evil. And I appreciate no way Dean is making the mess. Yes, he is. He's making at least a half. You think I know more than you? I know how much everybody makes on here. He's making a lot of money. And I'm not hating on him. All the power to him. It's all the power to him. I'm not hating on him. I'm just saying I don't make that kind of money. I make decent money, but I also give a lot of it away. I help people. There's a lot of people that I've helped that you never even know about because I don't feel the need to tell you every time I help someone. Oh, I gave somebody $1,000 or I gave somebody $200 or $150 to this. I feel myself fortunate that I make the amount of money that I do. And so when I try and help as many people as I can when I can. If I have extra money, I try and help people. So I can't help everybody, but I do as much as I possibly can. So I appreciate you guys. Love you. And we're going to be traveling probably next week again. I don't know where we're going yet. Yes, the new Resident Evil is crazy, bro. The new Resident Evil is the shit. It's scary as fuck. No, I support all creators' ability to make money. Something people don't understand is I will never hate on someone's ability to make money because it is not easy to live stream. People think it's easy. It's not. And I don't just live stream. I travel and do all sorts of shit. But it's not easy. You know, it's a lot of work and it's mentally taxing. And so I don't ever hate on someone's ability to make money. And so all the best to anybody that does. It's just not my business. So. But I appreciate you guys, and I will see you later. Okay? Mark Kelly. Why are you disappointed in Mark Kelly? What happened? Yeah, I don't care about Jake Lang, Dory. He's a total goofball. So Jake Lang is an idiot. Bro, Blazing, let me tell you right now, bro, you're going to love it. It's so good. I don't know what Mark Kelly did. I don't know why that person said that. I don't know. What did he do? I may, be a little naive here. I haven't been paying attention. What did Mark Kelly do? Can we get an answer to that before I go? You should be bigger than Dean. No, listen, things work out how they do, dude. So I'm happy with the growth. That I have. I'm very thankful to be as big as I am. And when I went to Minnesota, one of the things I really was kind of shocked me is how many people recognize me and how many people came up to me and said, I appreciate your content so much and I watch you every day. Minnesota is a very blue state. So the people there are going to know who I am, and I couldn't believe how many times I was recognized there. It was shocking. It was shocking to me. I've only been recognized a few times in the last several years. A few times. That's it. One person at a gas station, a few times ever. And in Minnesota, seemed almost every day somebody would recognize, because the people at those protests, the people doing all that stuff, those are my people. Those are the people who follow me. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty damn cool to feel that support. And I love that community deeply. So they are my family in Minnesota. So he lets too many young guys on talk about abortion. Well, I don't know. Send it to me. I'll check it out. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Listen, consider supporting in the link tree in my bio. But guys, consider becoming a member of the YouTube channel. Consider becoming a super fan on TikTok. If you support the content, see if you can possibly support me on one of these platforms, because it's very important. If you care about that kind of voice being amplified, that only happens by support, right? Subscriptions and things like that. That's how you allow for me to be as loud as I possibly can. I love you guys and appreciate you. And I'll see you later. Take care.